Hello viewers, we are back with another video in a nostalgia rating series. Hopefully you've been following along. We're now at tier 4 and this time we tackle Black Dawn, an 8-player operation from Hand of Fate DLC. For this we've used tier 3 vendor gear with Central City trinkets, rings, mask and weapons, no R&D modding, level 2 home turf trinkets and 65 spent skill points. This is Anha and I am joined by
Ivyborg,
Dreadwolf,
Former Bob.
Mitchell,
Tesseract,
Cub,
Luarana,
and Flame Fury.
As we progress, there are 3 feats to be aware of.
Untwisted is the first feat. That is a 25-point feat. It involves rescuing 25 civilians before they are transformed into Hellguards. These are the civilians that are captured in orbs and they're around the Gotham parking lot before the Scarecrow boss. The second feat is Crying on the Outside. This is a 50-point feat and that involves killing 169 Hell for All clowns. These are the 3 big clowns and they are located in the portal before you face Tala. The final feat is No Bedtime for Bozo. This is another 50-point feat and this involves defeating Tala before the Bumble of Hell for All is knocked out. This is the big clown in the white suit.
And we begin from the perspective of Dreadwolf in the damage roll.
Oof, that's close.
Very little to talk about here mechanically. The tank is in the thick of it, holding everything next to him. You'll want to range DPS at this level. If you're getting too close, as you saw, there is some nasty AoE damage.
it's quite interesting in that this is there is no ads. You start this instance and it's boss instantly.
That's actually true. I didn't think
What was
about
it
I
takes
thought
you
when
to
you said that there's no ads, I thought you were talking about the boss fight. I was like, dude, the boss fight is ads.
Yeah, there's like no build up
Yeah.
at all. It's just and fight a boss. Okay.
Yeah. A tip there for new players is to nuke down the boss, because as soon as the boss goes down, the ads disappear. So full nukage on the boss, the splash damage on the ads are of course helpful.
Yeah, locking on the boss is a very handy tip as well.
We switch to
Plenty gets in the way.
Tesseract's point of view here, controller, making our way through Metropolis again to the next objective. This is probably the most tedious part of the operations
Entire
in Hand of
game.
Fate of the entire game.
Agreed.
And they decided to make it more tedious by doing that and slowing you right down.
And they keep changing it so that, like, it wasn't this slow originally. They actually changed it to make it even slower.
But with the recent changes that have come in regarding control effects from enemies, you can actually break out of this now and make yourself move at a decent speed.
Yeah, so this is the speed that you're supposed to go at, and when you're carrying it, you get a debuff to your kind of speed anyway, but the first person that picks it up gets an additional debuff, so like sometimes it can be handy for one person to run and pick one up and then drop it and somebody else can grab it. But the other tactic is to run with somebody that's got this breakout trinket. I'm not even convinced this is legit, to be honest. I can't imagine why they would put this in.
No, it seems like an oversight, but during this part of the operation it can be used. You see,
Here is another awesome tip shown by Tess. You can actually punch the ball a bit so it flies away.
and as people were doing this, who was allocated to be carrying the balls, or does it not really matter now?
Didn't really matter, to be honest.
As long as both
Yeah.
healers weren't doing it at the same time.
Yeah, the ads
Yeah.
don't hit too hard. The tank can pull them away a little bit, but mostly they'll go down really quickly, and they won't do too much damage. So long as they're not all focusing one person, then it's fine. You can see there's another group here.
Sorry, go ahead.
There's another group here, and if you help them, you'll get credit for theirs as well. So it's part of the joy of open world operations, where you can kind of team up and do some of the work together.
I was going to say as well there, as you can see, L was actually running quite fast with the ball. With the help of breakout trinkets and breakout powers, you can escape this slow movement.
There's one other way of getting the balls in quickly, and that's you can, if you're really, really good, you can throw them in. Now, usually if you throw them, they'll bounce straight back out again.
That's an awful tactic, because there's certain DPS that love to just shoot it and blast it away, and her.
I wondered where this conversation was going then.
Well, it's not quite just that. I mean, there is a small AoE around the target location that's doesn't do much damage, but it has an impulse effect on the orb and knocks it for miles.
Yeah, got to be quite confident in your ability to hit the mark when you throw it. So you've seen all the portals have been closed.
We do have a
Switched.
favorite area to go to.
Switch to Mitchell's perspective again. Yeah, as you said, we progressed to the top corner here, where he always spawns, and there is nothing around that can really get in the way.
Apart from all those taxes.
And so I believe I died there because Mitchell was too busy shooting taxis.
Weird to see you guys bring it to this boss. The US PC server's always been a big fan of taking it to. There's a boss in an alleyway. You can kind of keep everything contained there, and nothing's
Yeah.
around to affect the group.
I remember that alleyway. I'm sure people were like dragging it round corners and stuff.
Some key mechanics and tactics here to be aware of. He does spawn miniature ads. The
That
tank
have
will pull them in.
horrendous fire breath.
Yeah, the tank will pull them, hopefully try and pull them in, and they can die as a consequence of the AoE. You do not want to get close to this guy at this level. He's got a horrible AoE, will one-shot you.
His normal shield throw used to one-shot, didn't it?
Yes. You see there, he's just gone down. He'll fire some little balls forward, and when they hit, they explode, as you've just seen there. Big damage.
Those sprites used to do some really nasty damage as well if you get caught in their flame attack that they do.
I
Especially
think
if there's a
Black Dawn
couple
was
of them.
supposed to be the first instance where the ads did more damage than the bosses at some point.
I think as well, when it came out, I mean, we'd already geared up fully in Tier 4 with Themyscira and Prime Battlegrounds. When we were first doing this, we were doing it in full Tier 4 gear, and the only gear that we needed was the gear at the end bosses that you get the codexes that drop that were 1 CR higher and give you an increase of about 4 on your main stat. So when we're doing it in the
Could not be
nostalgia
bothered with them.
version, you know, we're actually quite weak compared to what people were like when it was released. So you do have to be really careful with the damage that you take.
A handy tip there that you're probably just seeing on screen is that action switches from Metropolis to Gotham. So if you've got a base in Gotham, you can teleport there, then come out and get to your objective quicker, rather than having to go via the watchtower.
Although these days, you
Yeah.
probably, if you've got a teleporter in your base, you could teleport straight to it. I don't know what's the nearest teleporter to there. Amusement Mile?
Possibly.
Very
Clock tower.
probably, yeah.
I don't know, my main base is actually just behind me, right where I'm standing right now, so this is where I go to anyway.
I think in Black Dawn, where you even have to switch the city, there were more issues for people disconnecting. And there's something that we have as disadvantage to the villains. They can teleport via an appearing teleporter at the city, while we heroes have to travel. Yeah.
What? They get a free
Did not
teleport?
know that.
Yes, they
Yeah.
do.
That's
They do.
ridiculous.
They get a
As you can see
teleporter when they
there.
have to go from to Metropolis. We don't.
Double standards.
Sneaky
Shocking
villains.
behavior.
That's
can see
probably an
the-
oversight that's never been brought up.
You see the encased
Until
human victims
now.
there. The encased human victims are the ones that we were talking about in the beginning there. The feat where you have to rescue civilians. There's these guys in the orbs that we're talking about.
So,
Have to
given you have to
activate them?
rescue 5 of them to get past this anyway, I mean, if you do this raid to completion 5 times, you'll just get that feat.
Yep.
If you notice on the screen that pulsing portal where everything seems to be spawning from, that'll give a debuff, won't it? I think it's armor debuff if you
Yeah.
get into the middle of that.
Yeah, it's got a defense debuff and a dot.
I'll put a deep with
Good
Signal as well.
combination for it.
Could do. Not 100% sure.
During this section, you really just want to focus on killing the target. Don't worry about the ads; they're inconsequential. Once the enemy is dead, you can start moving on to the next section.
We
Big
got
time
a
Captain
couple of
Boomerang
boxes
while
there
we're
as
at
well.
it.
Yeah, whoops, Captain Boomerang.
Terrible spawn point.
I remember a time when it used to be, oh shit, it's Captain Boomerang. That AoE around the boomerangs. Oh my god.
I think he's been nerfed, to be honest.
Nostalgia Central
Yeah.
City bounties.
Yep.
And now we're on to the boss.
These operations do have quite a few ads, and you can see Tess jumping into them and controlling them and freezing them. I know I've asked this before, but for this particular instance, do you find Kobe and the controllers in the chat that's something you feel you should be doing, or is it just the fact that you can do it, you can jump in and do it and move on?
You can do it. I don't feel like it's necessary, I think.
For any objective where the point isn't actually to kill the ads, it's to kill a specific target, then locking them down away from the target is always going to be a good idea. Just keeps the damage from splitting on the target, keeps them from doing damage to your party. So if you can, if they spawn up and they're a little bit away from the rest of them, lock them down, even just kind of stop them for a moment, and you'll be kind of aiding the DPS.
So we switch back to Dreadwolf's point of view here for the boss fight. Once again, the mechanics are essentially identical to what's come before. Nasty AoE damage if you get too close. Nasty damage that he can fire out towards you. There's ads. You've seen here that it essentially wiped the group.
But it's an operation, so you can run back in.
Yeah, we totally done that on purpose so you could all see. Honest.
I actually don't remember why it took so long to res there.
I think it's because we forget that we can. Usually,
I just saw that you
usually if
were
you
already in the fight
die-
when you got loot.
There was another group nearby who had activated a different boss, and a couple of us were had hit him as well, and we got loot from him when he died halfway through our fight with this boss.
Ah, yes.
It's also a
Dread
tip
looking.
if you have a team member who does have all his warps on cooldown or something, and you engage a boss too early. When you have a second group which is also around, you can see if you can help them with their boss. People who already got loot won't get double loot. The person who might have missed the boss fight will have a chance to get loot for that boss.
Speaking of that boss, it's very similar to the first Atlantean boss. But one difference there is that when this boss goes down, the ads are still up for a few seconds. So it's not like, yay, we downed him. So you down him, and then you have to really watch out for the ads because they don't despawn instantly.
The team's made its way once again to an instance for the final boss. This used to be an open world. You could traverse the area and just start killing the clowns, move on to the next bunch in order to clock up kills for the feat. It did become a lag fest, but it was quite fun when there was a lot of players in the area.
In that case, it would also be very good when you were a sorcerer healer, because with your circle of protection, you keep 2 or 3 groups alive.
You can see at the moment Tess ran into the purple aura there and she was getting the armor debuff. You would have noticed under a power bar.
The process here is really simple. You've got to kill certain enemies and transport them into that portal to summon Tala.
And these are the clowns you have to defeat and carry in the portal to get the crying on the outside feat. So before this became instanced, people could just fly around in the area where they spawn in Gotham and just do these over and over again.
It's important for this bit to make sure that you keep the clowns close to that purple bit, but not close enough that your tank's getting a debuff. When you kill them, you have to activate them and then carry them into the purple spawn area. But as soon as you activate this kind of shield around them, more enemies will spawn and they'll try and interrupt you and make you drop the clown, and if you do that, the clown goes back to full health. So you want to really make it as close as possible to where that clown is in order to carry it in safely.
You really want someone with a shield doing the carry-in, since the dot from the circle can cause you to drop the clown, and then
You saw where Tess
do
went
over.
down, the one-handed clown there got up at full health.
It
can
only counts for the
become
feat if you actually carry them in.
This part is healer. You have to watch out if you have people standing too close to that, I call it aura or portal, because of the debuff that everyone will get to stand there, and they get huge damage.
And here comes Tala.
You'll see the team migrate itself over to this side of the arena. Just gives you more room to maneuver around the attacks that you'll see shortly.
It keeps you away from the ads that spawn as well.
There's the big clown in the suit that you need to keep awake, keep alive if you're supposed to do the no bedtime for Bozo feat.
which can be quite difficult at this gear level, as he hits very hard, and it's much easier to kill than Tala.
Yeah, to get that feat, I think the tank generally pulls the clown in the white suit away from Tala so that the damage can be focused on her without splash damage hitting the clown. I
Just
don't
also
think we
can make
actually
this
go
feat
for that
tricky.
here, do we? That feat. Going, taking the clown down first.
You've just seen some big meteors fired out. One on impact that explode, big damage.
You see that multiple meteors there that nearly wiped us.
Yeah, both Tala and the clown can fire the meteor.
I'll always try and keep a full supercharge for going into this phase, just because having these group shields can be really helpful. If you get multiple people going down at the same time, then everybody can be working to res them.
Is that the case for the healers in the channel as well? That you save your shields for the moment you see the meteors on the way, or?
I usually try to, yes.
Yeah, when I'm healing, I do the same.
As soon as I see it coming, well, I wait until it's about to hit someone, because ideally people would get out of the way.
What also makes this part tricky is when the tank is focusing the clown, then he might not always have the aggro of Tala, so she can go for the group, which will lead to a lot of burst damage.
You can see the miniature fire orbs being thrown at you as well. They can be quite difficult to evade. That's where your shields come into play.
Have a snowman there?
Yeah,
Bad.
I was using the snowman trinket for the fun.
Like some of the other bosses, the ads here start to become a hassle. It's kind of throughout this entire operation, more ads just keep spawning until they overwhelm you.
As a damage player, don't really worry about the ads too much. Just stay on Tala. Once she's down, the instance is over, and they despawn. That brings us to the end of the instance. Once again, hope that's been useful to you in some form. Always welcome to provide feedback and comments. And as always, thank you for watching.
Take care.
Cheers. See ya.
Thanks for watching.